Your videos here, your base be the glory.
Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? 28 what? Who that? Hold that what? Who that what? Free back what? Who that?
Welcome back to Who That 242. I'm your host Tim A on episode 37 of Who That 242 on the Southern Podcast Network, sponsored by Live. We are Game Changers. Today we have Kendrick Delaney. You might know his face from the new Duff, and we'll get into that first. But the real thing we'll talk about when we come in first is Ferry says you're right now. Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a book a couple of years ago, actually. Before I started working till Live, I was trying to figure out how I could take over the planet. That's what my main goal was.
right.
But really and truly, I lived in Singapore for a while, and every time I told an Asian person I was from the Bahamas, the first thing they always asked me was, "Oh, have you swam with the pigs?" And I had not yet done it, and I was really curious about why they were swimming. So I started coming up with all kind of stories. And I figured, you know what? Why don't I just write a fairy tale about the swimming pig? And that's how I started with this one.
So when you came back home, was it the first thing you did? Or did you do a couple of things first? Like how soon after moving back home did you actually go to actually visit the pigs?
Well, I think I went back. I came home on vacation once, and I went to swim with them. Now, I don't know. Have you been to do that before?
Yeah, I did twice. I went 3 times actually. Yeah, I went 3 times.
Oh wow. Yeah, so I did it on vacation, and then after that time, I was kind of really hooked on it because my mind was blown. When people say if pig could fly, but I didn't ever think about pigs swimming.
Pig could swim, yeah.
Now I figured I would kind of mash it up with some of my own experiences growing up because all of my uncles are fishermen,
nice.
and the cool thing about them is they would take us out on the boat all the time, and we would have to fish or swim, one or two. You can't sit on the boat if you're doing a fish.
Right.
And I don't know if your family is like this. If you can't swim, they can throw you overboard. So,
oh yeah, that's how I learned to swim. My mom just showed me in the pool visit to a resort. Like that's how I learned to swim. So talk to me about, I guess, like who do you want to pick up this book and read this? Like, what's the demographic? Is it everybody book? Is it for the non-Bahamians? Is it for the Bahamians? You know, but who are you trying to reach particularly?
Right now, to be honest with you, I feel like the Bahamas is one of those countries that is very magical, and we have a lot of different experiences that people can export. In particular, our family islands are such an incredible, rich set of stories. And for me, the book is really about my love letters about, like I said, about swimming and learning how to swim, being on the boat in the ocean. And then, and in fact, the story is actually a true story because it's about, this is a true story, by the way, so I'm not making it up, but when I was a kid, I was kind of a wimpy kid, and my uncles and all my cousins, all of us would go out on the boats. And this particular time, they was all catching fish, and I couldn't take how to fish. You know, they just be all wiggly and stuff.
Yeah.
They would give me the lines or whatever. I would punk out basically. So as a joke, they dropped me on this little key right off South Beach. And they left me there. They didn't really leave me, but it felt that way. You know, they was out in the water.
Especially as a kid, like you start getting anxiety, like don't leave me here.
Exactly. It felt like a crazy experience. And so, again, true story. I was there all kind of upset on the beach, and this guy comes walking to me, this like Rasta guy, I remember him. And he was asking me, "Hey, wow, what's going on? Like, why you all crying and all this stuff?" I tell him, my uncle them leave me, baby, whatever. And he ended up, I tell him that because I couldn't hold the fish. So he was fishing. This guy was walking key to key, and he's fishing. So he gave me a grunt, but this side, you know what a grunt is?
Yeah.
So
I've actually been fishing twice, and all that happened during the lockdown. So yeah.
Oh really? Yeah, fishing. I love fishing now, actually, but because of this. But anyways, he gives me the fish, and he disappears, and they come back, and I'm holding a big fish, and they can't figure out how the hell I got the fish. So I just
really sounds like a Pirates of the Caribbean type of story, like Davy Jones walk up on the sand and give you a fish and then disappear back on the water.
Exactly. And it could have been, to be honest with you, I never thought about it. He might have been a real person. But
yeah.
in this book here, I have it here for you to see. So
awesome. I want to get to that because I just love the
So yeah, basically what I all of my families, even till nowadays, they still curious how I got this fish, and I explained to them just as I explained to you, but nobody believes me. And so in the book, it's really about this kid who isn't able to swim, not fish, and his uncle leaves him on the island and he's thinking that his uncle is being all mean to him, but his uncle actually knows that this is the swimming pig island, and that the pigs will teach him how to swim. So he learns by the end of the book that his uncle is actually his best guardian on this one.
How long is the book?
It's a short book. It's about 20 pages, but it's only 2 lines per page.
Yeah, I didn't get to read, so I could give it to my daughter.
Yeah. I worked on this for a while. Like I said, when I was in Singapore, my thought was, let me try to capture what I would think could be our version of like the Little Mermaid or like Moana or something like that, where we're really about creating a legend around these pigs, because it is a pretty incredible and special thing for us. And so it's not a very, very long book, but it's really cool, and it shows this kid learning how to swim from the pigs.
I have some friends coming to Nassau next week, and the first thing they ask me is, so how can I get to Pig Island? How far is it? Like, so it's crazy how, in a good way, we've gone from being the country with Atlantis, just a hotel, to now being the pigs. Like these things we actually have unique to us. So it's and I like that y'all, putting your own personal experience into it and then making that a part of history. But I really like the cover. Can you talk to me about the animation style and why you chose that?
Yeah, so this book is it's actually a mashup of my text, and believe it or not, I used to Airbnb a room in my house here in Nassau, and I met a couple of foreigners who worked for illustrations companies overseas. So they used to do kids textbooks, and what they did was they were telling me like they really fascinated by the swimming pigs themselves, and I thought, hey, why don't we collaborate on a book where they bring some of that international level of illustration. And you can see some of these pictures like this. It's just like,
oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah, super cool books, illustration. And so they actually came up with a lot of they didn't come up with it. We did the storyline together, like how
you storyboarded out, and I guess say this animated for you.
Yeah, so if you go to Ferry's Tale on Instagram, you can see actually the transition from sketches. Even this book here is actually a rough sketch. This was the demo book. You can see the lines aren't complete yet. And then I have the finished version now, which is really.
I'm looking at it now, and it's much different. Yeah, but I like the goggles.
Yes. Yeah. So the character really changes quite a bit. So if you have a time, or anybody listening to this, go to Ferry's Tale, and you can actually learn. I mean, a lot of people actually have hit me up about how do you make a kid's book after seeing this. And I would always tell them, like, try to partner with people. Partnership is a new currency, right? If you're not partnering, you're really not making it further in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the name Ferry's Tale. You could have named so many things. Why Ferry's Tale?
Very good question. All of the characters in the book, their names are actually puns, right? So, the kid, his name is Ferry. That's the pig. Her name, Ferry, as in a boat. The pig, her name is Sinker, as in a fishing line and sinker. And then the uncle, his name is Harpoon, like as like a spear and whatever. So I tried my best to make it a bit more deeper than just a regular book. And my hope actually is to make more books, again, using the same notion of like using terminologies from the ocean. So maybe somebody could be called
a conch?
What's that?
A conch.
A conch.
You have so many meanings for that right now.
Exactly. Have you ever written a book?
No, but I wanna. I don't know if it's a book, but no, I grew up as a blogger, so I've actually probably read a book about maybe like the basketball stuff, but yeah, I'm actually interested in like writing some more.
Nice.
So how can someone get their hands on those who live here and those who live abroad?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate to get the book into a couple of stores. So right now it's at the airport. So if you're listening to this and you're traveling, right at the top of the escalator in international departures is Island News and Keys.
Oh, so I pass all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're right there, and the Ferry Sale is right next to like the rum cakes and all that stuff. So you can pick up a copy there. Logos Bookstore in Harbor Bay has the book as well. I sell them at the New Duff on West Bay Street, so you can always pick them up there. And actually now I have a website, ferrystale.com, FERRYS tale at .com, sorry. And you can actually buy the book, and it can be shipped anywhere in the world for $12 additional. So
any Amazon audiobooks yet, or you ain't working that yet?
Not yet. I ain't ready for that step yet. But I mean, Amazon is the next step, really. I would love to get on Amazon.
But I must say, for those who listen and are watching, like, don't, even if you do audiobook, don't limit yourself. That is a beautiful book. You know, pay the extra. I know like it's cheaper, but like I'm like so I grew up reading before. You know, I couldn't watch TV during school days. I used to just read a lot. So like
Right.
even now in this age, I really don't like reading books digitally. I have to buy. I have to smell the paper. I have to buy the books. So like I love collecting books.
Yeah, and I think that's a special thing, especially for people who have kids too. This book is almost like, I would say, almost Pixar level when it comes to the illustrations.
Yeah, I
And
must like, and like I'm literally just finished watching like a couple Pixar movies with my daughter, so that's why I could say like I really appreciate the effort and the illustration in this book. Actually, I literally just finished watching Moana like an hour ago.
you did.
Yeah, yeah,
As a dad, you guys have to watch a lot of those films, right?
yeah.
So I
Like,
mean, like,
luckily I'm a nerd, so I don't really care.
yeah. So I mean, even down to like the sunsets in the Bahamas,
Oh
the
man,
illustrator.
that's some nice clouds. Like and like I said, you could tell the effort because I could see the difference in color between the sky and the cloud and the boat and the water and the sun and the pig and people. So that this ain't no little play. You ain't just
Absolutely.
put this together during COVID. Like you put some actually effort. And like I say, it represents. And even hearing the story more, like it actually, because I thought you just did this on your own. Like I didn't know you had a personal story connected to it. So that's just amazing, man.
No, I really tried my best to put my identity into it, and I think what I love most about Fairy's Tale is that you know, at the beginning you think that the uncle is being a little cruel, and you know, when you're younger, like we talked about just now, like, you know, we think that certain experiences, we experience it a certain way, but there's a lot actually happening behind the scenes that we don't understand as kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this part of this book is really about showing how the uncle was such a good nurturer that he knew that the pigs would take good care of Ferry. And, you know, it helped me to also understand that sometimes you really don't understand what's going on, but there's a lesson in everything, right? So,
Right.
you know, walk away being able to swim is a big learning curve in this book. And I think any kids probably, or parents who have kids who are frightened of swimming, or they might not know how to do it, this book is a good example that, you know, you can do it on your own.
Yeah, that's amazing. So before we get on to the other thing you mentioned earlier, New Duff, shout out to our sponsor Alive, and we, as you know, we got this BYOD going. Bring your own device. So that if you want them other people and you have a phone, don't worry. You come over to Alive. You could get postpaid and prepaid savings, or if you like me, who's go buy my phone from Apple, still could bring it and get. And if I get a new plan, get a. I'm a postpaid man, like as you know, I always travel. It don't make no sense if you travel once a week, once a month. For me, I understand the prepaid people. If a plus postpaid, that's just me. I just go away. I don't feel nothing. I use my phone like I in Nassau, and y'all see me on Instagram and Twitter. My data don't run out. So y'all do say, man, to me, man, it's the wrong plan. There was a different plan for everyone else. So if you know you active on data, invest in yourself. Get like I'm a Liberty Prime type of guy, so Liberty Prime suits me well. I pay my 75 plus what, we ended up like $80-something. I pay that. I use my. I don't even have to worry about buying a T-Mobile SIM or looking for Wi-Fi for Wi-Fi. Just use your phone normal. And we in the year 2022. So time to. I remember back in the day, you go away and you can't talk to your family for hours and hours because they're waiting for Wi-Fi. So come on, man, switch to Live. We are game changers. And so we're here with the entrepreneur. Can keep going from the Duff and the businesses to the book, and I really like that book. I can't wait. I probably go buy it this weekend. To be honest,
Nice,
I have to go to Harbor Bay this weekend. I'm going to go to Logos and buy the book.
Awesome.
So you came home, and I've heard the story before a couple of times. So those who don't know about you came home and you did this new Duff, and I know you. I mean, actually, let me not spoil it for you because I know the story, but I just want you to tell my listeners about the new Duff.
Thanks, man. I mean, look, the new Duff happened to me as one of those things in life where you ever heard when people say you got to follow your purpose?
Yeah.
I've been running away from that from the longest, right? I was actually the top culinary graduate from COB in 2004.
Wow.
And after I finished graduating, I went to business school. I say I'm working behind the stove and flipping up burgers and stuff. But so for most of my 20s and even into my first 2 years of my 30s, I was a enterprise builder, which basically means business development and trying to find where the revenue is coming from and chasing that basically. So I was always good at that entrepreneurial kind of mindset, like really just hunting and chasing and building. But I never matched that up with food because I felt like I parked that on the side for a little bit. So when I moved back to Nassau, I wasn't working for first 3 months, and I just on Instagram, having come back from Asia, I love Asian cuisine. I love Thai food, all the different types of food, and I know Bahamians would like them as well if they could get that authentic taste, like I experienced in Asia. And one in particular was these Chinese bao buns, so shaped almost like an onion, but it's dough on the outside, and in the middle they usually put meat fillings like pork, chicken, different types of veggie fillings. But for me, the first thing that came to my mind every time I saw that was the dough for Guava Duff, and how great it would be, like, just to be able to, and maybe I probably was Johnson for it too over there.
Yeah.
So when I moved back here to Nassau, I was trying to make a few of them, and then one day I just said, "Oh, why don't you just use your grandmom's Guava Duff recipe, but make it in this shape?" So in fact, I stumbled onto that because I haven't really changed the taste at all of Duff, but of course I have my family's recipe, which I think is really incredible. But more so, like, instead of making that family style dessert, I started making them one by one. And I believe it or not, like, I posted 6 photos of it on Instagram, started a new page. By like the 3rd week, people were like messaging me. I had 400 followers overnight. Like, the news cable 12 reached out to me asking me, like, what is this? What are you doing with Guava Duff? You know what I mean? Like, what is this sacrilegious thing that you're doing with
how dare you defile our legendary cuisine?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and that, I remember that moment because for me, I had never had anything in my life get that level of adoption and attention and so quickly. It's not that it hasn't happened with other things, but I really felt like something special was happening. So I worked, as you know, at Alive, and in the evenings I would come home and make these things and go to the farmers markets on Saturdays, and there it just started from there. It basically went one thing after the next.
And it's how much years now?
We're going into our 4th year now.
4th year, okay.
Yeah, so not super long, but the great thing about the new Duff is that every day it is like, just, it amazes me how big it is growing. I have 13 employees. You know, before I was just a one-man show for a couple of years, and now we have 2 food trucks. We have a tourism store on West Bay Street. You can come and observe the process of peeling guavas and chopping them up and making the dough. And then we love giving away samples. So if anybody out there hasn't tried it yet, forget about what you heard. Just come and try it and see what it's about. It's really a love letter to all of our grandmothers and all of the women and men in our lives who know how to make that real old-fashioned Duff.
And before you get, just let people know where they could follow you, because I know it's just the new Duff, right? I think it's just new Duff.
Yes, all one word, the new Duff. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Also, we have a webpage, www.thenewduff.com, where we have our menu. You can hear about our story. And if you want catering and different things, we have a whole menu of items that could be dropped off for events and parties like that.
Thanks so much, Kevin, for coming through. I can't wait to read the book and read it to my daughter and let her know about the magic of the swimming pigs.
Absolutely. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, man, small things. This is what we're here for. Who that? Who are you? You know, so that's what we're here for. Shout out to Alive. We are Game Changers. This has been Who That 2 for 2, episode 37 of the Toy Podcast Network. See you next week.
Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? 28. Who that?